Today is the monthly artist study stream, and this month, instead of studying one artist, we're studying many artists, and we're studying how they do drapery. I've got some how-to books over here, some artists that I'm going to be drawing from, and I also have some photos from Pixabay I'm going to be looking at. So we'll see how this goes. I probably won't draw all of them because there's quite a bit. This is an excellent book. I'm not a sculptor and I'm not a model yet, but this book is still handy, and it's quite old. I think it's from the not that old. Maybe it's from the 70s, 1965. But it has a whole section on drapery, and I think that looking at drapery in the context of sculpture is really helpful, because drapery is sort of very specifically about how things exist 3D, how the physics of them work. When you're sculpting something, you really need to be aware of that. So it has a lot of good diagrams. One of the pictures in the slideshow down here is from this book. So this is really helpful because it kind of, I like the I always like when dotted lines are used in anything, and so this kind of shows you how the tension bunches and relaxes. So the solid lines are sort of the tighter points, and then as it opens up, the dots get further apart. So this is a nice way to visualize. And so that's the eye of the fold. That's what it's called. So these are some things that I'm going to try to pay attention to. This talks about the point of radiation, the mass, and the space of rest. I was going to say the difference between the eye of the fold and the point of radiation, but I think the eye is more of a loop shape, and the point of radiation is more of that. But if any of you in chat know about drapery, please do chime in. This is a subject that I am not particularly well versed in. Hence the need for study. I also have to say I have found the prospect of studying drapery boring, so there's that. So this is an interesting phenomenon, this kind of crisscross pattern. The next book is my least favorite art book of all time. I talk a lot about art books that I like here. This book I really... looking at it makes me uncomfortable. And it is Dynamic Wrinkles and Drapery by Burne Hogarth. Now, Hogarth is a highly respected artist, art teacher. I think he did comics as well. And I'm sure he has a lot of good stuff. I gotta be careful with this book because I can't show some of the pages. But I mean, it just makes me uncomfortable. Look at that guy's face. I don't like... There's some really upsetting ones in here. I like the fact that he's going for it with showing like that. But what's up with, like, they look sinister. I don't like that he uses orange. I mean, it's a good book because it's instructive. Like, he knows what he's talking about and he describes it well. I just don't. I just think, like, when it's time to study drapery, I pick up this book and I go, ugh. Put it back down. Look at this. That's some crazy folds in those pants. Don't like it. It might be a combination of the facial expressions and the proportions. I don't know. Anyway, don't get this art book unless you like to be uncomfortable. Do, however, get this art book. This is an excellent art book by Barbara Bradley. And this is what I'm going to be looking at mostly today for these studies. There's the pipe fold. There's a zigzag. Half lock. That's my favorite name. It reminds me of Frylock. Spiral. Diaper. My co-favorite is Inert, because I like the name. So this here is something that I find very complicated. The diaper fold is... Or the pipe fold, I mean. The pipe and the diaper folds are pretty straightforward. The zigzag and the spiral, those are the ones, to me, that are the trickiest. So I'm going to do a little study. Most of the rest of these I'll draw from the pictures on screen. So I suppose it's just a pattern. I imagine that drawing drapery is kind of like perspective in the sense that it seems really daunting, but once you get a handle on it, it's actually pretty simple and straightforward. At least I hope. Most of the drapery that I have drawn in my career has been faked. In looking for different artists to study for this, I've discovered that quite a few of them also just fake it. That made me happy. I have a huge stack of books I got the pictures for today from, but I have an even huger stack of books that I looked at and went, oh, that's not, I don't want to study that. Something like that. And there's another one here. Like, visualizing how this works is the part that really throws me. I'm not sure why that's the case. Like, to me, perspective seems pretty intuitive, and this is anything but. And so, as always happens when I start drawing this kind of a thing, I get about this far, and then I lose my spot, and it's real tricky to find it again. I think this is here, and that goes like that. And I guess they link up, don't they? Well, no, they don't. This has quite a lot of this goes real deep on fabric. It tells like fabric cut on the straight versus cut on the bias, which I'm sure we all know what that means. How to do the folds on that. Yeah, so this is an interesting thing. Just a little subtle difference here. It gets a thicker fabric versus thinner. Drawing 1 is made of thin wool, and drawing 2 is made of thicker wool. Difference in thickness where the sweater wraps around the neck, where the lapel wraps around the neck. Here and here. Adding a little bit here versus here. And all of a sudden, magically, the fabric is thicker. A little extra shadow. Yeah, a little extra shadow here, I think. Or maybe this bit is rounder. Little shadow here. And also the turtleneck is thicker. So this one here, this one is just more flat on. It's amazing how that little titch can communicate so much. So this is the first big realization for today. I'm going to draw from some photos first. Going to try to identify the different kinds of folds in the photos. So on this picture, I'm looking at the bottom of the pants. This would be zigzag, I think. Yeah. So this is one of the mysterious folds. It's like a bunch of just abstract shapes. I think unlocking the pattern is probably the key. There's a logic to this somehow. I'm already lost. So I'm gonna try some cross contour. I think that might help. This comes up and then it comes under this way. And this is the space of rest, I guess. This comes over. This is the rare occasion where drawing feet is preferable. Telling myself, don't draw the foot. We're not here for that. If only they made a kind of a tall grass that covered up a drapery. Zigzag. Looks like a face, doesn't it? Looks like a monster. So these are all radiating from the knee here. Drop folds fall from the knee. You can almost always see a drop fold falling from the knee of a bent leg. Half lock folds at the sides accompany the drop fold. Okay. So I guess this would be a half lock. These would be drop. The characteristic common to all drop folds is that fabric falls freely from a point or area of support. One simple fold or a complex unit of folds can fall from an area of support. Manipulating masses of drop folds gives you so many opportunities to bring life and vitality to your drawings and enhance their designs that I think of a drop fold as a gift to an artist. Well, It looks like I've got 2 gifts. So let's think about this. Once again, I am lost. Folds are hard. Basically adhere to the advice given by the Burroughs character in Lunch, Abandon Rational Thought. You do it when you do it on instinct. So I feel there's a theme emerging. And that theme is let it go. It's more or less Pinecone said, right? You get lost, you just let it happen. I'm not so sure about this lower leg, but this upper leg, I think it worked. Lower leg is pretty shadowed. I just want to do this. Let's see what happens if I do this. All right, this guy's looking pretty pleased at whatever is in this mug. Wonder what he's sipping on. Why he's so happy about it. I think these are half-locks. I have to double check my cheat sheet. I should say that these photos are all from Pixabay. Now that I think about it, I guess I also start with the deeper ones and fill in if there are a lot. Do the big ones first and then fill in the little ones in between. Yeah, okay, that's a good strategy there, Pinecone. I think I'm going to I'll keep that in mind as I draw. And I guess if I get lost, leaving out a few minor folds isn't going to affect believability. And later on, when we look at the different artists' examples, I think that's going to be a thing to pay attention to. What do they put in and leave out? How do they simplify? I guess these are all coming from the same place. And this one I think is half-lock mostly, right? Half-lock folds occur when tubular pieces of cloth abruptly change direction. When a part of the figure abruptly changes direction, look for corresponding parts of the clothing that change direction. Then look for half-lock folds in these areas. Take advantage of half-lock folds to emphasize strong changes of direction. 2 half-lock folds appear at the bend of the inner arm. In this drawing. Sometimes you'll see multiple half-lock folds. Sometimes you'll only see a smaller half-lock inside a larger one. Man. And how the folds underneath the fold look natural. Pay attention to the way it wraps around the forms underneath when drawing a fold as it wraps around a form. Remember to continue the wrap around to the outer edge. Yes, that would be these ones down here wrapping this way, and these ones up here wrapping that way. So belly button is something like that. So here is the pinch side of the figure creates these folds. Would these be zigzag? Inside the bend of a tubular piece of fabric when the fabric buckles. Yeah, that would be... The buckling would be here, right? Big one here. This one almost... This one might be a half-lock. I guess there's this pattern in a lot of these. Zigzags, at least. It's like looking... Gotta look at the positive and negative shapes at the same time. I guess it's a good way to check. I think part of the problem is working in pure black and white silhouettes. Drapery seems to cry out for either gradients or of tone or at least hatching. Yeah, that's true. My goal is to learn how to simplify, and so I'm trying to figure out how to take this stuff and make it more or less black and white. There's some gradients here, but like we'll look at Al Williamson later and Frank Miller especially. But I agree that you can really get into the value and the gradients with these. So I guess this would be diaper folds, right? So that's, I guess there's two tension points, more or less. One tension point is here, and one would be back here. There must be more than just a simple diaper folds in this though, right? I feel like it's too complicated to just be one. Impressionism justification does stare at the drapery abyss, rather gesture something out. If you stare into the drapery abyss, you go on. Yeah, Humzing, that is good. That is good, solid advice. And with that, I'm going to switch to the artists, and we're going to see how they did that, because I think you are right, and I think this is the time. Having looked at some actual drapery, some photos in real life, now it's time to see how artists interpret it and simplify it. This was This looks like diaper folds inside a zigzag. What did you call it? Foldception? Pine cone? Maybe there's a half lock. I don't know. I'm gonna just say diaper and then question. I gotta go all the way around the horn here. We got Al Williamson, Da Vinci, Dore, Albert Durr. This is Dave Finch. Here's Frank Miller, and here's what I want to look at right now. This one. This is Frank Miller from Sin City. I think all of these, except for the ones that Plumsing sent, are from this big stack of books I have next to me. So when possible, I like to do I like to use my own books for study, not finding pictures on the internet. But there may be some from the internet in here. Anyway, these pants. This is the kind of simplification I'm interested in. I think this can be really instructive. Is he peeing in the fireplace? That's a good question. I think he's standing at the bathroom sink, brooding about something. Peeing in the fireplace is definitely a sin, unless you're trying to put the fire out in a hurry. I've seen some of Frank Miller's sketches, I think, or maybe scans of the originals for some of this art, and he draws like everything. He draws a lot of detail, and then goes in and simplifies it. I guess that's why everything looks so solid. It's like a lot of people think, oh, look at he's taking shortcuts, just making it so pared down, but it's actually the opposite of that. I think it's probably more work. David Finch, yeah, David Finch. Let me see. Oh man, David Finch has a great YouTube channel where he has a ton of really instructional videos, really clear. I think from what I can gather, David Finch is the kind of artist who was not naturally gifted, but he was super driven, and he learned how to draw everything rather than just sort of being able to do it. And so he's really good at explaining. Like, he does a live stream on YouTube sometimes, and people will say, we'll ask him, like, oh, how do you draw this very specific thing? And he'll flip his paper over and go, oh, yeah, okay, well, this is how you do it. And he explains it very clearly. I think it's because it's somebody who had to learn it and had to think about how to do it. And so one of the best resources on YouTube, I think, for drawing the belt in. This little folds at the top. Can't forget those little ones under the belt. So this is... These are all diaper folds, aren't they? Is this diaper or is this zigzag? I have a two piece in the fabric buckles. This is not buckled so much. This is mostly hanging. No, that's not zigzag, not spiral, right? I think these are mostly diaper in the legs. I guess the pinch point would be the crotch and the hips, and then the pants are just hanging. The higher up ones seem diaper, and then they turn into zigzag down lower. You'd guess stylized half locks. Let's see, maybe around the knees, and then these little ones at the top, are like under the middle of the belt. I don't know what you would call that. I mean, I know why it's there. I just don't know what kind of fold it is called. I don't know what these ones are either. The upper crack tension fold. The coccyx fold. Yeah, the Renzella fold is it's easy to identify but difficult to render. Like, you know it when you see it. So I'm gonna go with diaper. And then crochet, you think stylized half locks at the bottom. It's almost like a maze inside these white shapes. So I got a few. There's 3 Frank Millers in here because, like I said, I'm interested in the simplification. So Wicked Notan, yeah. I'm looking at the drapery that's over the tub. It's amazing how he uses the just the drapery to indicate the plane change on the corner of the tub where it goes down. So far, the consensus seems to be just let it happen. Don't get lost. Don't look too deeply into the folds. Keeping it gestural is probably part of that. I enjoy drawing hair and fur. Like, I don't dislike drawing them like I dislike drawing drapery, and I wonder why. I think this would be inert. Okay, as with drop folds, a mass of inert folds may contain several other types of folds, but the entire mass itself is considered inert. Inert. And there's an eye here. I don't know how to identify whatever else is going on in this mass. After this stream, you're going to be extra aware of every fold, wrinkle, etc. for days. I hope that I will be. I tried, in preparation for this stream, try to pay attention to that stuff more. And will hopefully continue to do so, because it's important. Alright, here's a simple one that I want to look at. This is Winsor McCay from Little Nemo in Slumberland. Every strip ends up with him waking up and his parents saying something to him. But I like this one because he's fallen out of bed. And I especially like it because of the fairly simple drapery. Is this just pipe folds? This isn't is this spiral or is this pipe? It seems like it's basic pipe folds. They do kind of have a twisting effect, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's quite this. I wonder if McCay used reference for this. I wonder if he fell out of bed, or he had somebody fall out of bed and then drew them. I guess this would be half lock. Here's another simplified look. I guess I'm gonna look particularly at panel 3. So this is Hellboy. Sorry, Heck Boy. So like Frank Miller, Mignola is really good at simplifying. What did I do? I totally screwed this one up, didn't I? I put this line down here when it's supposed to be up here. Even when it's simplified. Can't help but get lost. I think it still works. I guess that's the beauty of drapery too, is that it's not so hard to fake convincingly. I think the reason for liking it so much is because of the abstractness of it. When we were to draw this or negative space or upside down art in my classes, I always had the most fun because you didn't have to make them look like anything. I also really like getting the different shade values in with graphite. Plumsink was bringing this up, brought this up. He mentioned using value instead of just doing it in black like I'm doing it. This is half lock, but we'll see when I do the stream with Ursa what I can learn from doing it in value. I'm so attracted to how Mignola and Frank Miller does it. How Miller and Mignola do it. It's what speaks to me. That's why I do it. Why I'm doing it like this. Plus, I think you can use line to get softness. I think this one is an example of that. But I get what you're saying. And speaking of what you're saying, I'm going to look at one of the ones that you sent me. This is a Vermeer. This was provided by Plumsink as a reference. Talk about soft value changes. Try to convert this into more of this. The real lesson to take away is maybe not be so precious with every little fold. The main concepts of the folds, but not have to do every little piece. I think what I want for me is to be able to understand the physics behind it well enough so that I can draw it all from imagination and have it be convincing. I guess that's what I want for being able to draw anything, but particularly fabric. You suppose those are just pipe folds? Similarity with that. The thing that I like about some of these is this patterning. This kind of get this shape and this shape, something like that around it. This is what I should be doing, just drawing some folds from imagination. Working with charcoal and graphite is a great way to work loosely and really get the feel for the shapes and shadows. I'm going to draw this foreground figure. Oh, yes. I forgot to write down what I think these are. I think these were pipe folds. As for this would be drop? Maybe? Drop folds? They're hanging from here. This might be, diaper? Yeah, I think diaper down here. And I guess there must be a half lock somewhere in here, right? Alright. I feel like I've achieved a thing or two today. So these were from photos. These were from the various artists. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I hope you all learned something. I most likely did.